Hi everybody, and welcome back to Hex Token Channel. So I've been getting quite a lot of requests around PulseChain sacrifice. So we're going to have a quick look at that video and a couple of suggestions that you might want to consider if you wanting to get into PulseChain. Maybe you are a bit late, so we're going to get in to this and talk about some of the issues and possibly some of your options that you've got. So let's quickly go into that. So here we are, we're on PulseChain.com, and of course the official sacrifice period was over. And it said do not sacrifice any more money. However, people continue to sacrifice. So we had the sacrifice here between, let me get rid of this, between the 15th of July and the 3rd of August. And then at the end of that, of course, we got this notice, do not sacrifice any more money. The reason why is because the cost of it was going up by a factor of 1.05. So basically 5% kind of a day. And of course, what Richard did not stop people sacrificing, because people were sacrificing anyway, and he didn't want them to lose out on the points. So he's had a mercy, what we typically calling a mercy tail, or mercy period for sacrifice. We've got this dotted line, and it's going right through until today. So we can see the current price of Hex candle here on 13th November, and of course it's still going through, and I've just got this chart running through to the birthday party of Hex on the 2nd of December. So people are still sacrificing. The rate continues to go up by 1.05 a day, and of course continues to get worse. Now, I did a video in that the other day where you were going to get 42 points on the day example that we were using when someone sacrificed 100,000 Hex. So we're going to check up and see what that is at the moment. Of course, if you're wanting to get into Pulse, you're very excited about it, and so you should be. I mean, it's pretty exciting. It's going to be a system state copy of Ethereum, and it's going to be the biggest airdrop in history. It really is going to be pretty awesome. So we got the total sacrifice during the ranking phase. Just on the east side was about 670, give or take. So that was pretty cool. We've obviously had the PulseChain testnet running, and it's still running right through to today. So I mean, even if I upgrade this, it's still running through, and you can see that's still going. Obviously, most of it's been done, and all the issues have been fixed up there. But we're expecting PulseChain 2 to get up, and I'm expecting that to be relatively short phase, so 7-9 days, something like that, possibly. Although I'm not the dev, so that's just my guess. And but the Bretep, the dev, was super bullish, and so we're expecting the testnet to come up as well. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, because it was indicated back here on the 3rd of November that this week or next week, with the following updates: improved validator rotation, branded block scout, and initial distribution, which was going to be not finalized, but the actual data. And so we're waiting for PulseChain testnet 2.0. So that means you've still got time to sacrifice, as per the dotted line below. People are still sacrificing. So that is one option, but it's not an option I suggest, because it's very expensive now. Very expensive indeed. So basically, a lot of people missed out on this first phase, which is over here. People are still sacrificing in the second phase, and a lot of people ask. I've seen a lot of comments on the chat, asking about how should I sacrifice, what are my options, type of thing. And of course, I've provided as much help as I can without investment advice. Obviously, YouTubers cannot do that. So here's PulseChain 1.0 already, up. We're waiting for PulseChain 2.0. When we get that, of course, the Explorer, one of the factors will be the Explorer gets branded. So we can see here branded block scout. So this will become branded when 2.0 comes up. So we'll see that happen. Otherwise, it's continuing to go. You can see all these transactions going on at the moment on blockchain. And so we're waiting for that. So basically, people are late entering, and what are their options? So one of the options obviously is to sacrifice for the points. However, the points are only 35. Got to remember, they started off in the blue here, 10,000 points per dollar, now 35 points. So it's pretty hard. I mean, you're talking about X factors going up here to 35. And so it's pretty poor. You're getting a very few points for your dollar So that's the downside. That's why I've been suggesting and strongly suggesting people not sacrifice. But of course, as we saw the other day, people are still tending to sacrifice. Let's have a look. So this is the mercy points. That's how much you can get, 35 per dollar. There's no multiplier. Remember, the multiplier was only at the beginning. You can see it here with these other things. Otherwise, this was the base points, 10,000, and then declining by 1.05 per day. You can see just going down to here, and now we're down to 35 points. Now, I imagine this is going to close off at some stage, because otherwise you get no fraction of points, which it could do, I guess, but you don't want to do that. So to get 10,000 points now would have cost you $1 back on the sacrifice phase. You can see the sacrifice here, day 1 to 19 in the light blue, but purple now, it just keeps going up and up and up to get get 10,000 points. It now costs you $287, and this chart's just about ended. Only a little bit left to go on this chart, but $287, so to get 10,000 points. So that's 287x pretty much on what it costs you back here. 287x, so just grasp that at the moment. So that means you're going to need a lot of big price pump, of course. What will the market price things at for points? Might be something back here. When it goes live on PulseChain, we already know that PulseChain will probably do typically what crypto does, has a big, huge hype rise when it launches, and then decreases over time, and then it will start to rally back up for more of a medium to long-term move. So there's opportunity. So your first one is you can sacrifice. I strongly suggest against it, as per these charts are showing. Secondly, you can wait till PulseChain launches, and wait till after it launches, because it's going to have a huge ramp up in value. You don't know what that's going to do. Typically in crypto, the charts just spike on the opening period. How long that lasts for is another question. Is it going to be hours? Is it going to be a day? But typically they're relatively short, and then they start coming down. They hold up for a while, and then they start sort of going down like a waterfall until they reach a certain point where they're happy. And of course, and PulseChain, there's going to be a lot of long-term holders. There's going to be a lot of hexkins in there, a lot of people from different projects that we're trying to get in. And so the price, where's the price going to settle along this curve in some senses, because people have a cost price, and they all want to make decent profits. So I think vast majority will be holding. Some people will speculate on the opening price to try and get the top bags before it goes down in price. And so I think that you're going to get a lot of people start to buy up later. But of course, PulseChain is no ordinary project. It is Richard Hart's project, and everyone knows what's happened to Hex. So we could see a lot of accumulation. We've also got a lot of whales. If we go to back to Pulse lead, we've got all these whales. I went through this the other day, and a lot of these will be quite long-term committed in my view, and so you could see them buying up a lot too, and so that's probably what's going to happen. Will they speculate on the open? Hard to say, but I suggest that a lot of these ones will end up being good buyers as well, and supporting long-term value, possibly even validators. I'm not sure how Richard's going to play that. The validators, obviously the Origin wallet sacrificed the dominant and controls the dominating supply. So how many validators will be held by their Origin wallet, I do not know, but it's an interesting question. And of course, so that's the second option. So the first option was you can buy this, relatively expensive late period pop points. Second option, you can wait till after the big rise of PulseChain launches and wait for a big pullback that you can start buying near the bottom, just like Hex did. Hex had the bottom price. So Hex launched on the 2nd of December 2019, but it actually had its lowest price on about the 5th of January 2020. So that was just over a month after. So you might see that good sort of opportunity may happen with PulseChain, although it's a bit different. The audience is bigger, a lot of whales in this, a lot more whales into this by a large mile, and of course it is a fork, a first system state, a fork of Ethereum, and so it's really big. So there are a lot of differences. Now the other thing, of course, there are still profiteer people that profit, want to profit and take short-term profits. So there are still a lot of those out there. So just caution with that one. So you've got, that's your second option, to buy when the market pulls back and before it starts to have a more of a longer term rise, should the opportunity present itself, of course. So number 3, of course, is you can do something like buy Hex. So you could do something like buy Hex. The reason why is because you're still going to get a copy on Ethereum, right? So you're going to get a copy on PulseChain. So you could still buy Hex, and you get double. You're going to get double your ETH. And so when you're on the PulseChain side, you'll actually have Hex, because Hex will be one of the major peers with PulseCoin, right? So that means that you'll be able to trade out your Hex, your copy, over for PulseCoin if you're after PulseCoin. So that's the way you can do it. And there'll probably be a couple other major peers, so maybe even I don't know, Unicoin or something like that. But definitely Hex seems like a win-win, because you buy Hex, you get Hex on the ETH chain, and then you buy Hex and you get it on the Pulse chain, and then that would be paired up with Pulse, and you can even sell your Hex if you wanted to. Obviously, a lot of people trying to accumulate Hex as well, but that's kind of the idea. So it's kind of the third option, and it seems a lot better option to me as well. So there we are. So you've got 3 options. Sacrifice now, which seems pretty expensive and pretty late, and you need big X's to overdo it. Obviously, everyone else has got cheaper than you, so you could see some of these people selling down, so it make it even harder for you to get an ROI eventually. Obviously, this might all be cheap at one point, might all be cheap in the future. You just never know. Hex obviously has completely changed its price, as we can see in this chart. It's completely, gone up and up and up and up. Over 20,000x with the, or 10,000x with price, and 20,000x with staking. So this is interesting, but you got to remember that's from the low point of the 5th of January, and as opposed to your cost price. So you just got to take that into account as well. So that's your third option, is get a copy of something like Hex, and that way you're gonna, you already have your Hex, so it's not like with the Pulse points, you got the points, but you won't get the Pulse until Pulse comes out. Now the other thing, because those are your 3 main options that I can see, and think about that. The other thing is obviously no investment advice on the channel, just going through suggested options. You can think about that as part of your exploration, as it were. The other thing is that nice to see Hex looking so green at the moment, to be honest. So that's cool. But hey, look, Hex just has the up and downs as well, so pretty nice. All right, so let's have a quick look at. We got this time we've got PulseChain Testnet 2.0 coming out. The other thing I want to say was you've got those 3 options, but remember the fork could come up, and that could happen any day. So we've got this tweet here about the 18th with the birth time that Richard put out. Might that announce the fork time? It's hard to say. So we have the fork, and then we have mainnet, and so it's going to be interesting to see where that happens. So people might run out of time, might get taken off guard. They might get a few days a notice, which is what we're expecting before mainnet. But the fork might get snapshotted sooner than later. So just take that into account. That time may be running out for that. We've got the 18th coming up, as I say. The 18th here, and we'll see whether we get anything of that. So at the moment is the 13th, so we're 5 days away to see whether this tweet actually means anything, if it really is an Easter egg, or whether it's just flat pancakes, as it were. We'll find out soon enough. And of course, we've got the 2nd of December with the big birthday, and that could have good prize giveaways if you're there, but also could have some big announcements coming out of it as well, including the launch of PulseChain. So there we are, folks. That's a pretty good wrap up of the time frame and 3 suggested options that you've probably got if you are late for the sacrifice period way back here in July. And we look forward to PulseChain 2.0 coming out, and the fork, and the mainnet, and the biggest airdrop in history, as well as the chance of a lifetime on a super cheap ETH chain. Woohoo! Looking forward to it. All right, hope that one helps. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, of course, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.